Hi, this presentation is part 3 of Unit 1. It's about the unique, unrepeatable identity that we all share. The idea that each one of us is completely unique and cannot be represented completely or known to yourself completely in this lifetime. And that this uniqueness is something that would be revealed to us at our moment of transition, our death. So I would stop the tape right now, and if you could please go to page 13, actually. It says 14, but I think 13 through 15 are pages I would read, you should read right now, and they're here on the way to their text, which is at the bottom of the page in Schoology. So, and then, thank you for reading that. Okay, and now to move on, we're going to take a look at the myth of Sisyphus. And the link to this should be included in Schoology. It's certainly in the presentation. And I think it's important to consider these 3 questions here. The myth of Sisyphus can be applied to every human person. As useless as this task seems, we all engage in some form of a Sisyphusian struggle that, depending on our perspective, can make our life seem somewhat tragic. On Monday morning, we wake up and we repeat the routines of the week that, life kind of forces us into. Perhaps some of what we do, we don't choose. Certainly there are opportunities that present themselves before us to allow us to change the circumstances of our existence. That does not change the fact that 99.9% of us, for the majority of our time here on Earth, will be engaged in some sort of, monotony. So the question is, how do you find value in life that's occasionally, if not often, seems quite useless or pointless? The point of this presentation is to say that there is possibility in finding absolute meaning in seemingly useless, pointless, or even tasks or circumstances that seem bound by suffering. So please watch this 7-minute video about the myth of Sisyphus and take some notes answering the questions on the right here. Okay. Today's lesson also concerns the rule of 3. So, what do these 3 mean? Original man, historical man, homo viator, eternal man, or eschatological man? In your notes right now, write down what you think these 3 things mean. Okay? We're going to continue talking about them in class today. So, if you notice a few things here, right? We have this visual representation of the myth of Sisyphus, and then we have this very absurd looking horse. And just to summarize, right? Camus works under the foundational understanding that the universe is inherently meaningless. Not according to him that we can't derive meaning from our own life by way of our will, our own agency, but that the universe itself won't supply us with that sense of purpose. Okay? My point here is to kind of explore this as a counterpoint to the Christian perspective. So right now, if it seems like we're delving into an almost atheist perspective of existence, that's true. We're going to use that and build from it to see where there are shortcomings in this philosophy and see where the Catholic and Christian perspective suits, like, a completion of these ideas. So according to Camus, because the universe is meaningless, anyone who tries to find meaning in the universe is doomed to worse suffering than they already have. And perhaps you can think of somebody that's like cursing the world, cursing God even, and saying, why? I did not do anything to deserve this. The great book of Job in the Old Testament wrestles with this topic. Somebody who is innocent by all measures, but still seems to suffer, doesn't get what they want, and looks out upon the world and sees people out there that are blessed, seemingly blessed, with things that we want, and they don't seem to deserve it, right? This is the idea of perhaps the meaningless of the universe, that if we're looking to the universe, perhaps looking to this plane of existence to provide for us ultimate meaning, we're going to be disappointed, okay? He goes to say that science, philosophy, society, or religion, basically anything you can study here in school, will never be able to create a meaning that would be immune to the problem of absurdity, that there is just some absurd parts of our life that we can't fully know. If anyone's read The Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, he starts that book by saying, what I have to write here is either true or not true. It's up to you to decide. And that sort of like putting the power of knowing a thing on the audience is engaging with this idea of absurdity. So, according to Camus, which his perspective is very positive, ultimately speaking, but he starts with this idea that if we understand that the life is meaningless and that we can't find any meaning in the universe, our options are either to end life or be condemned to this existence of greater torment. Now, the video we just watched, or should have just watched, states that suicide, of course, is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Okay? So how can we alleviate this suffering that we're all kind of bound to, right? The Buddhists will tell us it's related to desire. And that is, I think, plays out in too powerful a way in our world, okay? And I don't mean to blame capitalism, because I'm not an anti-capitalist necessarily, right? But we should be thoughtful about what we are pursuing and to what end. If what we're pursuing is a material thing, cars, money, sex, drugs, houses, whatever that might be, and that's the pinnacle of what we're seeking, we are going to be disappointed. Now, I'm not going to tell you that seeking material success is a bad thing, or that it's a sinful thing, or it's a wrong thing. I want to be very clear. I am not saying this. But what I am saying is that the poor are just as able as the wealthy to find absolute meaning in their struggle. Their struggles are very different. The qualities of their life, by certain measures, very different. But I think that we can, anyone can, find meaning in their struggle, however it feels like they fall on a higher or lower place in the hierarchy of our material existence. So this absurd life, and if you click on this link here in the presentation, it will show a video that's from a scientific perspective. It's from a scientist on a very positive perspective on how to find meaning in this life. And I encourage you to watch that video. It's very short. So anyway, he rejects the idea of an afterlife, right? So already we're trapped in this kind of very limited understanding of our existence. Okay? And it's very not Christian. Okay? So the big question is, from our perspective here as a Christian, is the absurd life enough to construct an actual human morality upon? This next slide is going to consider this. So in your notes right now, write down, what is the absurd life? And is the absurd life enough to construct an actual morality upon? And what I'm talking about here is across all of society, right? We have different groups of people here on this earth, right? What I'm trying to say is there are different levels of education. There are different levels of access to this sort of philosophy. If I were to take just a very random selection of quote-unquote common people, I don't mean to use that in a pejorative sense, but just ordinary people from like the middle of American society or just across all, like how would I be able to articulate meaningfully this idea of the absurd life? And what sort of meaning would it give to their life? I think you would have a very difficult time trying to communicate how to achieve or attribute value to our life by saying it's absurd. I think if you tried to sell this to the common man, you would end up with people that really reject reality or that really reject society. And the more people that do that, the more perhaps society starts to crumble, the more harm is created. So something to consider, okay? Let's move on. So, beginning, middle, and end. Remember at the beginning, I talked about original man, historical man, and eternal man. Those three things are what we're talking about. And I hope that what you understood in looking at, marinating on those words, that original man is Adam, primordial man. Historical man is man on the move. Here, this, us people, all of us, man in this time, in this realm of existence. And eternal man is man in heaven. Okay? So, why are we created and what is our ultimate destiny? We are called to return our love back to God. We were created out of self-giving love. We are called to return that love back to God. And once we are able to do that, then we can attain this eschatological man or eternal man. We can be blessed with heaven. And here's a beautiful quote, I think. Indeed, the human person fully understands himself only in the light of God. He is the imago Dei, created by love in the image of God, with whom he is destined to live in communion for eternity. And I put some examples here just of like tragic missteps in human history where we have distanced ourselves from God and we have denied individuals with their, unique quality of being in the way that God sees them. You know what I'm saying? And we do this in small ways, we do this in large ways, right? This is also known on the left-hand side here as the pyramid of hate. And on the right here, some things that either the church has engaged in, like wrongly, the human side of the church has sinfully engaged in times the abuse of children. But there are also things in here that the church comments on. You know what I mean? Capital punishment, physician-assisted suicide, abortion, contraception. The church is opposed to all of those issues. And there are things that we'll talk about later in the class because they have to do with the moral side, right? What's moral and what's legal don't always have to be the same. That doesn't mean the church doesn't get to comment on them and take a firm stance on those issues. Watch this video and tell me what you would tell your children, okay? Why are we here? This is the link here to the Padlet. You can see other students' responses. So, original man. We were created because of self-giving love and designed for self-giving love. Humanity is also distinct and unique and separate from all earthly life in that it's gifted with a rational soul. Original man was never meant to be the final state of humanity. This is important for us to know because sometimes I think, especially when I was a kid, was taught about the Garden of Eden and Genesis. It's like reflecting, why did Adam and Eve do that? But that was actually part of God's plan. It was absolutely necessary for us to become historical man and return back God's love. Because otherwise, what is this exercise? What is existence for? If we were always meant to be in the garden, what is this realm of existence for? It is for us to figure out how to return that love back to God. Okay? Original man was designed to be a temporary state. So historical man is us now, after original sin, after creation, but just simply put, here we are as human beings, sinful, but still endowed with this rational soul. And feel free to pause this and read the quote here from G.K. Chesterton. So, here we are on this path of growth. We're homo viator, man on the move. We're searching for answers, desiring knowledge, and all of that brings us closer to God in important ways, either through creative action or intellectual pursuits. But it's all about returning love back to the world. And in this realm of existence, more often than not, we are sucked into thinking we need things. We are deceived by the culture. And again, one of the major themes of this class is how to reinvent the culture to suit our needs. Reinvent the culture so that it serves us. And again, pause the reading now or the video to read these quotes, please. So, the topic of eschatology is a vocabulary word that you will need to know. It's the theology of the end. Again, pause the video and read this slide. So we're left here with this quote. This is a scene from Hamlet, To Be or Not to Be. I encourage you to watch it. And that's the last slide. Thank you all for watching this video. Please go through the video, read, listen, watch, take notes. We will also cover this in class. This video is primarily for students that want to go back and review some of the material and hear my voice again talk about what we're discussing in this topic. Thank you very much. Have a great day.